Hey blockchain users, 2 days ago Alex Becker just dropped an insane video on AI coins, and that was really some solid content. Now, what I do on this channel is I like to look at charts and technical analysis. Meanwhile, Alex Becker looks at fundamentals, all while making hilarious jokes. So today, we're going to look at all the coins he covered, but instead of just talking about them, I will look into the chart so we can know which are the strongest one and which are the weakest one. You will be surprised, I can guarantee it, so stick until the end because we're in for a long ride. Now, let me explain to you my 5 rules to know whether a coin is strong or weak. We will be using the chart for Octa, a coin that I like, and you will see why I like it thanks to my 5 little rules. So the first one is higher lows. As you can see on this chart, just looking here, here, and here, we've been making higher lows for this coin. So that's a bullish signal. Next, above all-time high. So again, this coin is in all-time high territory. It's very near its all-time highs here and here. So this is a bullish signal. It's not in all-time high, but it's very near. So that's good. Next, above 50%. So I will always be using a major top and a major bottom. This tool is basically the fib retracement tool, but I remove everything except the halfway point. Now, how I use it is it's strong above and weak below. Next, my fourth rule is it above previous accumulation zone? Now, this one is complicated, but basically, I will be looking at sideways periods like that and asking myself, is it above these old sideways periods? In the case of Octa, yes, it is. It's above its 2 previous accumulation zones, so it is bullish. The last one is it above important old tops? Because I have my rule that old tops can become new bottom. Now, if we look here, we have these old tops, and yes, Octa is above its old top, meaning it's in a bullish position for all 5 of my metrics. So for the rest of the video, I will be covering Alex Becker coin, but this one is one of my own personal favorite. As you can see, it's it has all my 5 metrics, so do what you want with this information. Now let's start with PAAL AI. So first question, is it making higher lows? It is not, it's making lower lows. Next, is it above all-time high or in all-time high territory? It's not, it's actually 70% down from its all-time high. Next, is it above or 50%? No, we are in the weak half of the 50% level tool. Are we above the previous accumulation zone? Yes, we are. The last accumulation zone was here. We're still above, so that's a bullish signal. And lastly, are we above important alt tops? Well, the most important ones will be these two here, and we are below them. So right now, PAAL is weak, but if it can reclaim both the 50% and these old tops and make a weekly close above 55 cents, then I would start being bullish on it. But for now, weak. Now let's take a look at Akash, a coin that I used to really love. Sadly, I was a paper hand at the worst possible time. Now, making mistake in the market is fine. What is not fine is making mistake and not learning from them. And for me, that was a good learning experience. And honestly, keep that in mind because as we move into the bull market, you will be making mistake and learn from them. Now, Akash, is it bullish or not? First, are we making higher lows? No, we are making lower lows. Are we above all-time high? No, we are about 65% below the all-time high. Are we above the 50% level? Nope, we are in the weak half of the tool. Are we above previous accumulation zone? Yeah, we have 3 accumulation zones and we are above all of them, which is quite bullish. Are we above important old tops? Well, we are above this old top, but we are below this other old top and these two here. Now, this is a bit in between, but all in all, Akash is like kind of a 5 out of 10, I guess, in the frank strength meter. I'm just making something up. Anyway, it's neither weak or strong. What I would like to see would be if it can reclaim about $4. If it reclaims that price, then I would be starting to be bullish again on Akash. So someone to keep high on your watch list, and if it gets a weekly close here, yeah, this thing is probably going. Next, we have Fetch AI or FET. This is a very particular chart because we had a very powerful move up and then a strong move down. Now, is it bullish or bearish? Well, let's look at our signals first. we are making lower lows. This is bearish. We are below the all-time high by a large margin. So again, bearish. Now, are we above the 50%? Nope, we are below, so that's another weak signal. Are we above the previous accumulation zone? Well, yes, we are. That was here. And are we above important old tops? In this case, we have the top from the previous bull market, and we are still above that, or barely. So those are two bullish signal, but that one is very, very, very important. So this chart, I am more on the bullish camp, but it's risky. Now we don't want to see it go in these prices. So if it starts going below $1, I would start being bearish. If it goes above the 50%, above $2, then I would start to be quite bullish on this AI coin. All right, NEAR is a coin that if we look at it from this perspective, right now I'm very zoomed in, and this chart looks very bullish. Now, if we zoom out, nah, not so much, because it's way, way, way below its all-time high. And not just that, as you can see here, I wrote it's a dinosaur coin because it is 4 years old. It's a coin from the previous bull market, and honestly, in cryptocurrency, I'm sorry to say it, but it's all about speculation, hopes, and dreams, and I'm sure most of you are aware of that anyway. But basically, the hopes and dreams already happened for NEAR. Now it's it's still a good project, but it's harder now to have as much speculation. Now, don't get me wrong, it could do very well, but the odds are not in favor of coins like NEAR. Now, if we just look purely at our signals, are we making higher lows? No, we are not. It's subtle, but we are making lower lows. As I said, we are way, way below the all-time high. We are not above the 50%. We are in the weak half of the tool. We are above the previous accumulation zone. It's the only redemption that NEAR can have. And all in all, well, invalidation here. First, well, it needs to reclaim and go above these price level above $9, but more importantly, it needs to reclaim its macro 50%. And honestly, it has a lot to do to be doing that. So for me, it's a weak coin. Next, we have a coin which I'm not too sure how to pronounce, AIOZ, something like that. So for this one, are we making higher lows? Well, we are not. We're making lower lows. Are we above all-time high? Well, it may look like it's this one, but we have to zoom out. It's actually there. So we are below the all-time high. But I do like that in the previous run, we were quite near the previous all-time high. So that's fairly good. Would be better if it went above. So, a bit mixed, but mostly good. Now, are we above the 50%? As you can see, we are, so that's good. Are we above the previous accumulation zone? It is here, my yellow box. Another good signal. So all in all, I am more bullish on AIOZ, but warning, we have some invalidation level. If we go below the 50% level, that will be a warning signal that things are changing. And ultimately, if we go below 37 cents, which is this old top, that would be very bearish. And for me, if we go there, party is over. This one is not going to make it, which is not the case for now. Looking good. Here we have Prime. This coin is making lower lows. It is way below its all-time high, about 70%. It is below the 50% level, and it's testing currently the previous accumulation zone, which is a bearish signal. And lastly, it is below this all-important top. So basically, Prime is a prime shitcoin, and in a very weak position. It's going into the bottom of my watch list. Next, let's take a look at 0x0, which I think looks like a little, little face, but might just be me. Anyway, whatever. So, is it making higher low? It is not. It's making lower lows. It is way below the all-time high, about 70% below it. It is in the weak half of the 50%. It is technically a little bit above the previous accumulation zone, but since it was inside of it for the past few weeks, for me this is a bearish signal. And lastly, is it above important old tops? Well, it's a new chart, so there's really no important old tops to look into. Maybe here, but nothing too solid. So the chart for this one is bearish, but I will be keeping it on my watch list because it's such a new chart. It came out very recently, so I'm gonna stay open-minded still. Technically speaking, it is in a weak position. Oh boy, so Test Run Network is a very new chart. First, is it making higher lows? Well, kind of. It's higher than the TGE, so when the token went live, but it's also lower compared to these prices. It's below the all-time high, but this all-time high happens during a mania phase, and honestly, it's not too far away from that price. For me, this is bullish more than bearish. Next, we have our 50% level. It's dead on it, so it's neither strong nor weak, and there are no accumulation zones, so nothing here. And the only old top would be that one. So the way I'm playing this one is if it goes below this price, then I would be bearish. But do keep in mind that this means that there is a very big loss if you enter here, meaning that if you take a risk here, you can lose up to 70% of your money before you have a clear invalidation that it's in a weak position. On the other hand, if you want to be safe, you can wait for it to reclaim this old top. If it goes there, then it will be in a strong position, meaning that the risk will be smaller because you have more confirmation. Now, this token is at 300 million market cap, which is fairly low for our project of this scale, and it's not listed on any major exchange. So if it gets listed on like Bybit or Binance, then it's going to pump hard. In conclusion, it's a very risky token, so up to you whether you want to get in or not. For me personally, I like to have at least a part of my portfolio is more degen, and this definitely fits my degen standards. Now for the anyone protocol, I'm going to skip this coin because there is just no chart to look into. I do recommend instead that you subscribe to my channel, because if this becomes a strong coin, I will be covering it in a later video. Moving on, we have GPU or Node AI, which is going to be a quick one. It is making lower lows. It's way below its all-time high. It is below the 50%. And there are no accumulation zone to speak of, so let's skip that one. And lastly, it's below these important old tops here, meaning that for all of our rules, it is bearish and in a weak position. Now, the invalidation for this coin is if it can reclaim about $1.80. If it can go up there and make a weekly close, then I would be starting to be more interested on this coin. But for now, not interested, going at the bottom of my watch list. Well, would you look at that big bar? That was an insane move up. And when you see that in the market, it's a big, massive move up. It's always followed by a lot of volatility and usually a big correction. Following that, if it stays in a strong position, then that's fine. But for conducts, it went in a weak position and it's down bad. Now, looking at our signal one by one, it's making lower lows, bearish. It's way, way, way below the all-time high. It's below the 50%. And while it's technically above the previous accumulation zone, my yellow box here, it did test it for several weeks, which is very bad. And lastly, it's still up, it is still under the old top here, which just makes a big pile of weak signals, meaning that I'm not interested in conducts. The invalidation here is if it can reclaim the 50% around 10 cents. So if it goes back there, then all right, well, take another look. But for now, not interested. Bottom of the watch list. Now, ZKML is a coin, and I have a little surprise for you, because as you can see, it's making lower lows. It's way below the all-time high. It is under the 50%. So we already have 3 weak signals. But we have an important old top here, and we are above it. So we have one single bullish signal. And lastly, the accumulation zone. There is not really any, maybe this year, hard to say. Now, the twist here is that it's a very small market cap. It's at 25 million, meaning that it doesn't need a lot of attention to be going up. It's not even listed on any exchange. And just because it's got the attention of Alex Becker, I think there's a lot of upside momentum. So for me, this is a coin that I'm going to put in my degen high risk portfolio. But honestly, if you're not looking in high risk coins, don't degen into this thing. It's insanely risky. But would you look at that? This is one bullish chart. So here we are, of course, making higher lows. We are not just making all-time high. We've been making all-time highs for 2 weeks straight. Next, well, that obviously means we're above the 50% level and all tops. And lastly, well, accumulation zones, I guess we can make this count, meaning we have all 5 of our rules that are pointing for a bullish coin. So Neural AI is the most bullish coin of this whole video, and I give it my full approval. Let's keep things simple for HASHAI. There's just not much. It's a new token, but there is a 50% level that's relevant and all tops here. So for me, if it can go above both the 50% and these all tops, then it will be bullish. As for the rest, it's not exactly in a weak position. It's more in a I don't know position because it's just such a new chart. I'll be keeping an eye on it, but honestly, there's no clear conclusion for this coin. So another quick one, so OPSEC, if you've been watching this video, you'll be like, yep, Frank, this is very bearish, and you'd be right. Now, this project got hacked, leading to this bar here, and it went down by 95%, which for me can be a buy opportunity, but the problem is that before the hack, it was already down 86%. So even before that event, it was still very bearish. Now for me, I'm going to skip on that one, but if I believed in the project, I would be entering here because hacks are a great opportunity for entries. So it's up to you, but it's definitely something for the DGen portfolio. Now let's take a look at VRA. So it's making lower lows as seen here. It's way, and I mean way, way, way below its all-time high. And of course, that means it's below its 50% as well. It is below its previous accumulation zone, which is not something we've seen a lot during this video. Lastly, it is below this all top, meaning that for all 5 of our metric, it's in a weak position. It looked like it was going to be a major coin at this moment back in March, but now it's very clear that sadly this coin is probably not going to make it. I don't even have like a clear invalidation. There's just so many layers of resistance above, so this coin is not even going to be on my own watch list. Alright, last but not least, we have Palm AI. You should know the drill by now. So this coin is making lower lows. It is way below its all-time high. It's below the 50%, and it is below these all tops. So we have 4 bearish signals. There are no accumulation zones to speak of. Overall, it's looking bad, but it's a very low market cap. It's at 50 million, meaning that overall, it can go into the DGen portfolio, or at least I give it the DGen thumb up. Of course, this means it's very risky, so please be careful trading this coin. For me personally, I would like for a safe entry for it to reclaim $1.20. This means it would be above the 50% and above the all tops. I hope you've enjoyed this type of video where I'm basically speedrunning through charts. Now this was all about AI, but there are many other sectors like RWA or gaming. If you want me to cover other sectors, well, let me know down in the comments, or perhaps you would like to see some specific coins. Again, let me know. Now do the thing with the YouTube buttons if you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.